We're in the TechCrunch studio today with Noah Doyle. He's managing director at Javelin Venture Partners, and formerly had spent 4 years managing the enterprise products for Google Maps and Earth, and before that at Keyhole, which was the mapping product that was acquired by Google. Noah, welcome to the studio.
Thanks.
So this week, obviously, probably one of the biggest pieces of news from the Apple's conference is all around mapping, and you have a lot of experience in mapping. So just like to briefly hear what your opinion is on what Apple's doing.
Well, it's a huge announcement. It was a long time in coming.
Okay.
It was no secret that Apple wanted to move away from the Google Maps platform on their mobile devices, on the iPhone and in iOS. It was originally a close collaboration and a great marriage, really. But as soon as Android started to get traction as a smartphone platform, Apple made it no secret that they wanted to get the Google Maps product off of the iPhone as soon as possible.
And so this, as we were discussing, is a step forward for Apple to develop its own mapping products. It's going to take a while to fully play out, right? So this is ending one of this stage.
Probably true. I mean, I think it was, it was a big first round, right? It was the U.S., mapping experience on the iPhone that has been swapped out for an Apple experience. It seems that Europe won't be affected, at least for a while. Hard to tell how long that will last.
And so from the user's point of view, what does an iOS user gain from this move, and what did they lose?
Well, it seems that there is going to be some experience, some enhanced experience, probably around 3D and possibly around 3D data and or aerial imagery that's being rendered in 3D. Aside from that, the user is likely to lose a number of key features like Street View and hiking and biking routes, and possibly some other elements.
Public transit potentially.
Probably public transit. It seems like public transit will be gone too. So it's probably a net loss for the user. If you look at some of the online comments since the announcement, a lot of users were sort of complaining or expressing concern that those services would be gone.
Now, so you were an original angel investor in Keyhole, then you worked at Keyhole, saw it through the acquisition to Google, so you clearly have a lot of experience around mapping. Can you briefly share with us how you've seen the evolution of the kind of collaboration, then marriage, and now kind of parting of ways?
Yeah, definitely. It was really a very exciting thing to be a part of, or to be around.
Sure.
When Steve Jobs called John Hanke, who was the Keyhole CEO and lead PM, VP on the Maps Geo products, was at first he actually didn't believe it was Steve on the phone, which was a funny story to hear.
He thought he was getting prank called.
He did, but it turned out to actually be him.
Huh.
And it was very exciting, really for Google to be part of the iPhone from the launch, with such a prominent product. I don't think anyone necessarily completely appreciated the degree to which mapping in the mobile platforms would start to really take over the use of mapping services. Today, most page views and most user sessions in mapping products come from the mobile platforms. So really a complete flip of how the product's accessed from a device standpoint.
And so clearly you spent a lot of time at Google, but what do you think this means for Google? Now, I mean, you said it was no surprise, but over the next 3 to 4 years, how does this affect what Google's thinking about maps and their own device ecosystem?
Well, I think it's always painful to lose users and lose distribution in the marketplace, and I think there's probably some revenue loss as well. It's not that big, in the scale of Google as a company. Android's growth is, very high. It's growing faster and is, getting wider adoption than the iPhone. So, over time, they will make it back in terms of users. However, I think that it was somewhat of an inevitable thing to happen, and probably a little bit of a wake-up call, to everyone in the industry, to remind everyone that it is a competitive field, and new products will continue to come out, and you can't coast.
And so going back just a couple of minutes when you were mentioning the loss of page views, are you seeing more page views to mapping being delivered via mobile than maybe folks had expected?
Yeah, I think that to some extent mobile was always viewed as an important extension to the desktop products. The desktop experience had always been the central starting point from a design and product planning standpoint. And now seeing mobile really be the main way in which maps are accessed has kind of turned the world upside down, and I think will have a big impact in the way in which products get developed. I think you also see by having Apple come in with their own product offering, it does to some extent open up opportunities for startups and for third parties, right, to come in and to innovate more and to get, you'll have more players competing to offer end user experiences that are different, and that will create opportunities for the startup community.
So now you're currently now back to investing full time with all this mapping experience and this news. If you're talking to a bunch of developers out there who are looking to build the next thing or next products and services on top of this new mapping environment, what kind of advice would you share with them?
Well, I think it's good news. I think it's a positive for the ecosystem. I think as a developer, the challenge is to think about ways in which you can use the map as a substrate and as a base service to deliver more useful user experiences, to help a user both be more productive in their local environment, wherever they happen to be, and also to find what they're looking for more efficiently. Go beyond just the basic search and directions to help them truly improve their lifestyle and add another dimension to local information. I think there are many innings of that battle, or rounds of that battle, still to be fought.
Great. Well, Noah, thanks for coming in and sharing your experience around mapping.
My pleasure.
Right,
Thank you.
Thanks.